I know people are saying, oh, tell us who's going to win the election, Yasmin. And it's like, well, okay, let me tell you, let me just start the show by giving you my election prediction, which isn't really a prediction. Along with every other astrologer on the planet, I've looked at the charts for Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and I can tell you they both have charts on fire. Now, obviously they do. Why? Because they're both running for the so-called top job in the world, okay? And you don't get to run for the top job in the world without having a chart that's on fire. You know, it just doesn't happen. In fact, the first time I ever realized this, let me just tell you, it was basically probably like 10, 12 years ago. I was in Australia, and I'm sure you've heard of Celebrity Big Brother or rather Big Brother. And I was asked to look at the charts for all the Big Brother people and to make a prediction about who was going to win Big Brother. And I looked at the charts, and again, they all had charts on fire. Now, of course they did. Why? Because they were all on national television for a month. You know, like most of them probably will never be heard of in the public eye ever again. They had their moment of glory in the sun. They had all manner of amazing things going on in their chart. And then, you know, one of them won out of that. You know, someone, maybe it was a bit more self-confidence. Maybe they were better at the law of attraction or creating their own reality. And that was it. And that really taught me a lesson. And so last election, I'm not sure if you're into astrology, you will know that actually dozens of astrologers around the world made predictions about who was going to win. And you probably remember that it looked like it was going to be a shoo-in for Hillary Clinton. Can I just say I didn't actually make any predictions because I didn't feel I wanted to get involved. I get very into so much trouble when I get political. So I was, you know, I didn't want to even, I have my own personal feelings as well. I just didn't think I could make a rational decision. Anyway, everybody, all of these brave astrologers who stuck their necks out all said Hillary Clinton for the win. And, you know, of course they would, because Hillary had pretty good stars, just like Donald Trump did, because obviously, again, they had charts on fire. They were both in the running for the #1 job in the world. And I say that as someone who, you know, I grew up in Australia, I live in England, but I do think that the President of the United States is probably the top job in the world. You know, you're a massive country with a heck of a lot of people and you do influence the planet. Anyway, so everybody predicted that that Hillary Clinton would win, and everybody was wrong, apart from this one guy who had predicted, who was actually a Trump supporter, and he predicted that Donald Trump would win, and lo and behold, he did. And everyone was really angry with him because they said, well, you only predicted it because you're a Trump supporter anyway. So there you go. So who's going to win on Tuesday? I don't know. What I can tell you is this. None of us will probably know who's going to win straight away. And why is that? Because guess what's happening this week? Yes, guess what? Mercury Retrograde. And more than that, it's not just Mercury Retrograde, it's the end of the latest Mercury Retrograde cycle. And not just that, it's more than that, it's the end of the Mercury Retrograde cycle on election day. Okay? So in other words, the start and the end of any cycle, including Mercury retrograde, is the most intense part of the cycle. Now, I actually haven't checked, but I am 99.9999999% sure. Do you remember back in about, I don't know, the mid-2000s, like whenever, who was running for election then? It was this whole thing with the hanging chads. If there are people who I'm broadcasting here on Unity Radio, and I'm also broadcasting on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, I'm just going to see if I can see your comments because I can't see them. Who was running for election back in the day when the hanging chads thing happened? Anyway, remember the hanging chads? Nobody knew who, I think it was George W. Bush and whoever he was running against. Was it Al Gore? Anyway. Remember it took weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to find out who won. And people declared they'd won, they conceded, all sorts of mayhem. I'm 99.99% sure Mercury was retrograde. And guess what? Mercury is retrograde again now. So we can expect the US election results on Tuesday to absolutely, definitely not come on Tuesday. That's, I think, a given. And I don't think any astrologer would disagree with me on that. I think it's pretty much a given. So, you know, it's a pretty exciting time to be alive. There's so much going on in the stars right now. I do want to talk a little bit more about the astrology of what's going on. And I also am going to have a lovely guest on this week as well, which is a bit exciting. Her name is Julie Reisler, and she'll be on in a minute. Not just yet. Give me a moment. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about Mercury retrograde, and we're going to talk about what Mercury going forwards again is going to mean, not just for the candidates, but also for us. Okay, so let's just quickly look a little bit at that before I get Julie on the phone. So here we are. So we have Mercury going backwards right now in the sign of Libra. Now, Libra is the sign of relationships. So if you've been having a few issues with the people you love, not being all that nice, or they're not being that nice to you, and it's all a bit difficult, you can thank Mercury retrograde in Libra. On the other hand, if you've actually been going back over old ground with the people in your life, the most important people in your life, if you've been talking through relationship dramas with the people in your life, you can also thank Mercury retrograde in Libra. Mercury is the planet of the mind, okay? Libra is the sign of relationships. So when Mercury goes backwards in the sign of Libra, there's a chance to reconnect with someone from your past, to rethink your relationship, for misunderstandings with your partner, but also for the chance to talk things through with your partner. All in all, it's all nearly over bar the shouting, okay? Bar the shouting. Now, as Mercury starts to go forwards again on Tuesday, the day of the USA election, for one thing, there's going to be more mayhem, as I just said. You know, expect chaos in the vote counting. Don't be surprised if someone declares they've won and then they haven't won and it goes backwards and forwards. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't think you guys in America, you don't have a choice about election day, do you? It's like the inauguration day. There's no choice about it. So I guess even if Donald Trump does have an astrologer, as Barack Obama is said to have had an astrologer. People think Barack Obama had an astrologer for one simple reason. He always did things on the most auspicious moment possible, astrologically speaking. And everybody was like, he has to have an astrologer. Nobody could be this much in tune with astrology and not have an astrologer on staff, unless he's just like this super intuitive person. But anyway, so Mercury will start to go forwards again. Now, for all of us, it's going to mean something different. And I just want to give you a little idea of what it's likely to mean for all of us, okay? So starting with Aries, if you're Aries, or if you know your rising sign, listen to that. Aries or Aries rising, your relationships are going to start to make more sense. There'll be less dramas. And that's my husband, you can hear breathing a sigh of relief because he's an Aries. Taurus or Taurus rising, actually it's about making more sense of your daily work routine. So if you've been a bit like, oh, I don't even know what I'm meant to be doing, I'm just so confused about all my routines, am I in lockdown, I'm not in lockdown. Anyway, that's going to start to make more sense for you. Gemini, well, you're ruled by the planet Mercury, so Gemini rising, you're ruled by the planet Mercury, so your whole life is going to start to make more sense in some ways, but especially when it comes to romance, creativity, and children. So if you've got a big question you're asking yourself about romance, creativity, or children, life is about to start to make more sense, and the answers are going to come to you. If you're a moon child, Cancer or Cancerian rising, it's your home and personal life that's going to stop being so confusing and start to make a lot more sense. If you're Leo or Leo rising, it's actually quite a big thing for you because Mercury, the planet of communications, has been going backwards in your communication zone. So that is kind of like, you know, not really what you want. So if you've been just feeling basically befuddled, like I think all of us are starting to feel about this whole pandemic 2020 lockdown with the USA election and Brexit thrown in, you're going to start to think more clearly, Leo and Leo rising people. If you're Virgo or Virgo rising, like Gemini, Mercury is your ruling planet, so your whole life will start to make more sense. You should feel less like you're treading water, but in particular, money, cash, property, and possessions are going to be easier to deal with. So, you know, don't make any rash decisions yet. If you're Libra or Libra rising, Mercury has been going backwards in your sign. So if you've had some upsets, some endings that you didn't want, or changes that you didn't want, or you just things you want to undo, you've got a second chance. If you've been feeling misunderstood, you've got a second chance. If your life has just been confusing the heck out of you, you've got a second chance coming. It's all going to start to make more sense, even if it's not going to make much sense to the USA election. If you're Scorpio or Scorpio rising, for you it's kind of interesting. It's about secrets that can start to come back, secrets that get revealed, and also old fears can come up. So just be careful, just deal with them. Don't just push them down with, you know, drugs or alcohol or food or whatever your chosen poison is. If you're Sag or Sagittarius rising, it's to do with friends. Can be the end of misunderstandings with friends, hopefully. Capricorn or Capricorn rising, it's actually about your career, so less confusion when it comes to your career. Aquarius or Aquarius rising, it's to do with anything to do with the ninth house, which is study, travel, higher learning, the big picture. It's going to be easier for you to decide the way forwards. And if you are Pisces or Pisces rising, then it's all about sex and money. So it could be an old lover coming back, it could be money you were owed finally arriving, or it could be just confusion about sex and money finally clearing. Let me just say, with Mercury retrograde, the end of the cycle is a really big thing, because what actually happens is that whatever it is you've been wrestling with, you start to get the information you need to make your next move. And, you know, for the whole wide world, that's going to include who's going to take home the prize, the presidential prize, the keys to the Oval Office on Tuesday. You know, the whole thing's been run under Mercury retrograde. Who can wait to see what happens? I can hardly wait. There you go. All right, so before I keep talking about Mercury retrograde non-stop, let me introduce you to my guest this week. She is an amazing person, and she actually interviewed me on her podcast and we chatted, and she's just so lovely and so sort of soulful and wise. I just thought I have to get her on this show so everyone can hear what she has to say. And I will be taking your calls after I've spoken to Julie. I'll be taking your calls in the second half of the show. And in fact, let me just give you the number to call. 816-251-3555, 816-251-3555 is the number to call. So yes, I wanted to get Julie on the show because apart from anything else, she talks about something that's very important to me. As an astrologer, I'm not all about doom and gloom and this is definite and 100% and all that. I'm very much about the planets, the energies, and intuition. And Julie talks a lot about intuition. So we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about intuition. And I hope she's going to help you understand what kind of intuitive person you are. Okay, so let me just tell you, Julie Reisler is a master intuitive coach, a best-selling author, podcast host, and the founder of the School of Sacredology, which is all about helping big-hearted soul seekers to tune into their intuitive superpowers to be their youest you. Okay, she was asking me when I went on my podcast, what is my meest me? Julie's been featured in Forbes, Mind Body Green, the Chopra Center, and more. She's a multi-time TEDx speaker, and she's just an all-round great girl. She's also a mindfulness teacher on that very popular app, the Insight Timer. I know a lot of you have got that because I mentioned it the other day, and people were saying they had that app. It's a great app, Insight Timer. For more about Julie, go to juliereisler.com. That's Reisler. So are you there, Julie? Hello, hello.
Hi, hello, Yasmin. Thanks for having me. I'm here. I'm really honored you.
Oh, well, I'm very excited to chat to you. So, Julie, let's just jump right in and ask you, as an intuitive, who do you think is going to win the election? I'm just joking.
All I know is that it's not going to be, we're not going to know right away. I feel the same. I was listening to the predictions. I'm gonna pass on that answer. No question. We just hope. What I always say is, I believe that there is a universal divine love that is bigger and beyond anything and any concern and fear, and I just trust that's going to be guiding us. And that's what I'm putting my faith in. Yeah.
So, I mean, Julie, you specialize in intuition. Just to kind of stay on the intuition and the election for a second. I mean, just say, for example, you were a mad Donald Trump fan or a mad Joe Biden fan, okay? And so you're really attached to who wins on Tuesday. Do you think your intuition would function under those circumstances, or does one have to have a certain amount of detachment to make intuition work?
That is such a great question. And, I'm feeling in as you're asking, because what I've noticed for me and for many I've worked with is that when I get too in my head, it almost like pauses. It doesn't shut down completely, but it's very hard for me to tune in. And there is a lot. I'm sure as many of us, I'm highly sensitive. I'm an empath, intuitive, and so there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy both ways. So sure, I mean, part of me would love to see a female who is in office, is the vice president. There's a lot of, there's that desire. There's a lot. I don't feel like I'm coming at this from a fully unattached space, and I do think that makes it a little more challenging. Typically, what I've noticed is that when I can come in from this very calm, centered, unattached, just really tuning into divine wisdom, higher guidance, it shows up, usually either as an image, as a knowing, as a sensation or a feeling, or I hear it. And I talk about these 4 different types of intuition. And for this one, it's almost like radio silence, Yasmin. Like I think, like you said, there's just so much chaotic frenzy energy around this election. Then you put on the Mercury Retrograde.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it's like
chaos.
I'm doing a lot of self-care. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Julie, tell us about these 4 types of intuition. And can I just say, for anybody who's thinking, what's this got to do with astrology? Actually, intuition is very much kind of a buzz thing in astrology long term at the moment, because we have the planet of intuition in the sign of intuition. We have Neptune in Pisces, which is why you're seeing the rise of people like Julie and all sorts of people who deal with intuition and feelings and empathy and being an empath and being a sensitive, and even people like me doing astrology, because it's all about the mystical. So I have a perfectly good astrological excuse to have you on the show. So Neptune in Pisces, all about intuition. Tell us about the 4 types of intuition and see if the people who are listening can relate.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I have found in my own experience, both with the clients I've worked with as myself, is that we tend to have one dominant intuitive preference. It doesn't mean we can't tap into all 4 or to cultivate, just like when you start to use any muscle, but we tend to have one of 4 dominant. And so the 4 types are visionary, visceral, volume, and vessel. And I can share a little bit about each. Do you want me to go? I can do like a quick kind of, here's what they each mean.
Yeah, so what were they? I'm just writing them down. So there's visionary, visceral, volume.
Yeah, volume, and vessel.
Okay, so let us hear it. What are they?
So visionary, so I just would invite anyone listening to really think back to experience or time when you had some sort of, either it was you could think of it as a complete synchronicity, you knew something, you felt something, you saw something, it was like, you don't know how you had the information, but you did, or it was a gut feeling, it was a hunch, however that information came to you, I will share what the 4 dominant types could be, and really think about maybe one of those experiences for you. For me, for example, I had a wake-up call in the middle of the night, and I woke up and I heard a voice within, a knowing. I had a knowing and a voice. Now, I do have all 4, but there's a dominant one for me. And so visionary if you're visionary, you visually see what your intuition shows you. So this would be perhaps that using your mind's eye, seeing something that is not, that you don't really see it, but you can see it in your mind's eye, in your imagination. You might get an image.
Yeah.
I know many people that get an image. Visceral is your intuition comes to you through your physical body. So you might feel sensations in a certain body part, in your heart, in your belly, a certain chakra, in your third eye, or your extremities, your gut, and it's visceral. It's within your body. Volume is all about the auditory, hearing it. Oftentimes there'll be these, words that you'll hear out of nowhere, and it feels almost like an internal monologue that has a different quality to it than the 70,000 thoughts we have every day. So you want to tune into how you feel and the quality. And then vessel is a knowing. It's something that comes to you in your intuition, as though the knowledge was just planted there, as though it was just there and you don't know why. And we know the science, there's science behind this. If you do any kind of research with heart math and heart intelligence and intuition, and as we were saying, we're deeply connected, obviously, to the moon, to planet Earth, and it's really fine-tuning. How are you going to get this information? I believe our intuition is for our highest good. So when you tune in, you're really tuning into this very powerful, very all-knowing wisdom that can only guide you for your highest good and all those you're here to serve. It doesn't mean it's always easy, and it can take a lot of courage, and that's why I recommend that you get yourself in a community or with others that are practicing, because, look, I know my intuition woke me up and kind of got me startled, and I realized I wasn't in the right, the marriage was not right for me, and that was an intuitive wake-up call. I had the same thing about my health, I had the same thing about my job. So it's not always easy, but all of that came from the highest, most loving place, and I can tell you there's a resonance when you start to pay attention. So just tune in. What do you feel you are? Volume, visionary, visceral, volume, vessel. Those are the four types, and then once you start to cultivate it, you actually can start to develop abilities in 2, 3, if not all 4 of those types.
And I know Doreen Virtue used to always say, if you have a knowing or you hear a voice and it scares you, that it's not really proper intuition, because intuition doesn't come as fear. Do you agree with that, Julie?
Yes, I wish we had more time, but I'll go into that really briefly. Yes, I just ask everyone, when you're listening to this, to pay attention to did it feel like that knowing was sponsored in fear or in love? And it's actually the words that came to me intuitively a year ago on the plane, visiting my father who had fallen. That's a whole other story, crazy intuitive experience, how I even knew that he had fallen before he did. And I was sitting on the plane and the words sacred and scared came to me. It's the same thing, sacred being love, scared being fear. If it's coming from fear, now, that doesn't mean that when you hear or you sense or you have a knowing, it might, the outcome might scare you a little. Like I kind of went through this, whoa, what am I going to do if I'm not okay here in this marriage? Like how am I going to, what does that mean? But the voice, the knowing was very calm, had a peaceful tone, feeling to it.
Yeah.
It was like a deep knowing. So yes, if you feel, if there's a lot of fear with it, that is not, I really urge you to tune in to the quality of the emotion you feel with that, what you're hearing, what you're sensing, what you're getting as a knowing. That's a great question. Yeah, you definitely, it's either love or fear, and you can tell, or all knowing and fear. If it's fear, then you can say, thank you very much, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, yeah. So, Julie, we've only got about a minute left, but tell me, do you teach this stuff? I mean, can people come to you and learn how to develop their intuition?
Yeah, so I took those words, sacred and scared, and I created what came to me intuitively was this beautiful word, sacredology, which is really the art and the play of learning how to tune into your intuition. I have created the School of Sacredology, where you learn really in a fun, sacred, safe space how to hone in on your dominant type, how to tune into your heart intelligence. I bring in leaders and luminaries to talk about intuition and synchronicities, and it's just a place where you can drop the fear and the woo and have fun and really learn how to play it. So, yeah, I wanted to have a space where we can do this together. And then, of course, I also work with people one-on-one if anyone's interested to just, let me know.
Okay.
I love doing that as well. But
all right.
I believe it's our ticket to sovereignty and to freedom. I really do, and to higher love.
Me too, me too. So everybody, that's Julie Reisler of juliereisler.com. Julie, thank you for coming on the show today. I'm afraid we've got to leave it there because we're 5 seconds away from going to a break. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Julie.
Are we still? Oh my gosh, Yasmin, you're awesome.
That was brilliant. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. I'm just going to send you the link so you can listen back to yourself.
Absolutely, you're so great. I hope to connect soon. You're just a doll.
Aw, thank you. You too.
So much fun.
Well, let's stay in touch.
Really fun. Absolutely.
All right.
I will. I'll be in touch, and maybe we'll do something fun together, or see you in DC. I don't know.
Yes.
Connect soon. So much love.
Mwah, to you too. See you, Julie.
Okay. All right. Keep us in prayers on Wednesday, please.
Yeah, we'll be praying. Don't you worry.
All right. Wonderful. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Bye.
All right. So that was Julie Reisler. Now, I am going to be taking some calls after the break, and I'm going to be doing some card reading. So if you would like to get your cards read, I strongly suggest you call in 816-251-3555. The number is in the Facebook description. Let me see if I can see your comments because I can't see them on my phone. What is everybody saying here? Oh, Brooke has said, yes, it was Gore and Bush with the hanging chads. Now, let me just see. So Gore, let's see, Gore, Bush, hanging chads, Mercury retrograde. I'm pretty sure it was retrograde. Hang on, guys. Search on chads. No, what about Gore? Okay, so there we go. Absolutely right. The last time, I'm going to repeat this when we go back on air, by the way, guys, but never mind. The last time Mercury stationed direct, which is ending a retrograde, on election day was during the 2000 election. Al Gore won the popular vote, but George Bush took office. The days after the actual election were fraught with uncertainty, frustration, and confusion until Gore conceded the race. So there you go. Astrology, eh? It's amazing. It's amazing. You just wait and see. It's going to be chaos. I'm not looking forward to it. I just want the result to come in. What about you? How do you feel? Are you going to give me a call? Who's going to call? We've got one lovely person on the line. Hi, Catherine, if you can hear me. We will come to you as soon as possible. If you call in, if you're in the States, you have a really, really good chance of getting your call taken. 816-251-3555. 816-251-3555. Call in and I will look at your chart for you. How about that? And you can't pay me to do that. That literally is something I only do on this show. So call in and let's chit chat. All right, we've got 30 seconds. Or I could draw you a card. 816-251-3555. I'm going to be going to the phone lines as soon as we... Oh, someone's calling. Keep calling, guys. Oh, no, there's 3 people calling. Come on, call. It's so nice talking to you. All right, got... 10 seconds. Here we go.
816-251-3555. Find out what's happening in the skies. Welcome back to Astrology with Yasmin.
Hello, everybody. I am here. I am still here. I didn't introduce myself today, actually. I just launched straight into a diatribe about Mercury retrograde. For those of you who are watching me on Facebook as I chit chat, I'm sure you know who I am. I'm Yasmin Boland, but for those of you who don't have a clue who I am, I'm Yasmin Boland. I'm an astrologer, I'm a moonologer, and I'm a best-selling Hay House author of books including Moonology and my Moonology Diary 2021, which has already sold out once and won't be reprinted. So if you don't get your copy, that's it. It's over. No Moonology Diary for you next year. I'm going to be doing some cards today. I'm going to be taking some calls. We've got people waiting on the line, which is great. I will try and get through to everybody. So let's go. And remember, there can be stuff in here that's for you. So let's go to line 1, which is Catherine on line 1. Hello, Miss Catherine.
Hello, Yasmin. Nice to hear from you.
Nice.
Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, nice to hear from you. Thank you for waiting, because I know you've had a bit of a wait. So I've done your chart. Excuse me, but I'm curious. What would you like to know? What would you like to know?
I've had a lot of changes lately, especially in relationships.
Right.
One ended and one began right away.
Sorry, say that again.
I've had a lot of changes lately, especially with relationships.
Yes, and did you say one ended and one began?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. And is that a good thing? Like, were you happy to go straight into a new relationship, or you're not sure if the new one's right, or you missed the old one, or where are you on that? Dare you even say it out loud in case your partner hears it?
No, I mean, it's been going great. It's just kind of a pleasant surprise, I guess I could say. But it's just taken, very easy, actually.
Right, well, that's good. Okay, well, looking at your chart, Catherine, you're a double Libran. You have the Sun and Uranus in Libra, so you're very much a Libran, but you're quite an unpredictable Libran. Your chart has quite a lot of unpredictable energy in it. And in fact, right now, you have Venus, the planet of love, right between the Sun and Uranus. So you're probably going to find, in your life, it will often be that things happen quite suddenly, like the breaking up of one relationship and the starting of a new one. That kind of thing is kind of your MO this lifetime, to do things that are, Librans are supposed to be very calm and graceful and, harmonious. But your kind of Libran is that you're kind of a special Libran. You're kind of a bit more of a crazy Libran. So, it may not even be the last time that you end up jumping from one relationship to another. And that's fine. It doesn't hurt you. But what's really interesting looking at your chart is you have, let me just count them, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 planets in Virgo. So even though you're a Libran, you are really almost like a closet secret Virgo. You're a very, very Virgoan person. So, you're probably always going to slightly self-guess, double guess about, are you doing the right thing, and have a bit of self-doubt and a bit of modesty and all that. But, I can't see any troubles with the fact that you've suddenly gone from one relationship to another. As long as you don't have any issues with it, I can't see anything wrong with it. Would you like a card, or would you like a tarot card? Maybe a tarot card. What do you think? Do you want a card on the new relationship? What's that?
I broke up with Virgo recently.
Oh, you broke up with a Virgo. Right, okay.
Yeah, being an Aquarius.
And you're now dating an Aquarius. Right, well, both of them suit you, actually, strangely enough. Both of them suit you. Also, Scorpio would suit you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want a card on the new relationship, or you just want to let it run and see how it goes?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that'd be great.
Well,
Thank
actually,
you.
I picked you a card, and you've got the Ace of Coins. So I would say it might be quite good. It might go quite well. Is it someone you work with? Or what is it?
No, but we talk about business a lot, and
Right. Why is that?
with discussions about business. I don't know. We just have idea people could just throw ideas around a lot.
Right. Okay. Well, he's an Aquarian, and you're a Libran, so you're both very ideas people. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good sign. I mean, he could be quite good for you, assuming it's a he, for business, and Yeah, I think you take it as a good sign. I think don't worry. I think it's all going to be fine. Just enjoy the ride. That would be my advice.
You said Ace of Coin was the card?
Yeah, Ace of Coins, Ace of Pentacles.
Okay, very good.
All right.
I don't know anything about that, but I'm going to think that's a good sign.
Yeah, or just go and look it up online. The Ace of Pentacles, it's kind of more of a money card, which is why I asked about business. But, I mean, it may even be that because there's not really a big question to ask about this guy, maybe it's about work, because I'm looking at your chart and the next new moon is actually going to be in your career zone on your Neptune, so it could be a really good time to be getting inspired about work because you're Aquarius rising. I don't have any worries about you, Catherine. I think you're fine. I think you're good.
Good. Well, I am thinking about doing some career changes, so that's good to know. Thank you.
There you go. Use your imagination.
Have a great day, Yasmin.
Thank you,
I appreciate all
Catherine.
your help.
Lovely to talk to you. All right, let's take another call. I am going to get through all these calls today. Now we've got quite a few waiting. Let's go to line 2. We have Pat on the line. Pat, who may or may not be German. Are you German, Pat?
I was born in Germany, but I live in America.
Right. Well, I was born in Germany and I live in England. Was your father in the army or your mother?
Yes. My father was in the army, and my mother
Me too.
is German.
Oh, your mother's German. So your dad went to Germany in the army and fell in love with a local.
Yes.
Oh, that's romantic. My parents went to Germany together and conceived and had me in Germany. Where in Germany were you born, Pat? Because I haven't got that information in front of me.
Okay. It's the town of Herx, which is a small town outside of Frankfurt.
Oh, well, let's just put Frankfurt then, if it's pretty much the same place. Frankfurt, Germany. Frankfurt. Oh, you seem to have gone on hold. Here we go. Alrighty, so there you are, Pat. Are you still there?
I am.
Okay. So you are a Cancerian, a moon child with Mercury in the sign of moon child or Cancer. So you're very probably home and family oriented. Capricorn rising with a Scorpio moon. But you've also got a bit of Leo in your chart as well. You've got a nice sort of distribution of energies in your chart. You're probably not really a very polarized person. So what would you like to know today, Pat?
Well, I just wanted to. I would love for you to pull a card for me, and I'm very happy. I've left a job that it'll be 2 years in February, and I am doing some. I'm being mentored by someone in a different field now, and but I just, as you said, I love time with family. I love being home, and I'm just not very driven in doing anything but doing home and family right now. So I wanted to find out what you saw for me as far as, moving forward in a career. I mean, I'm happy to be at home. My children are grown, and my husband has a good job, and so I just want to see what you see for me.
Okay. So first of all, I would say you are kind of allowed by the heavens to just be at home because your chart is about home and family. Your life is about home and family. And there's no reason for you to push through that unless you particularly have to for money or, you really feel you should or whatever. Like there's nothing wrong with just focusing on home and family if you can. That said, I talked about Mercury retrograde at the start of the show today, and Mercury is actually retrograding in your 10th house, which is your career zone. So it's very, very normal that you're feeling like this and thinking, oh, I'm not really sure what to do. Should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe I didn't do the right thing. Maybe I want to go back to that. Blah, 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 blah. That is going to end. Now, everybody knows when Mercury retrograde is going to end now, don't they? Because if you've been listening, it's on election day. So you're going to start to get... to be able to make some decisions about what to do, okay? So if you're a bit up in the air right now, don't worry because you kind of should be in a funny way because you've got Mercury retrograde in your career zone. So just give it another week or 3 and you might find that it becomes really obvious to you what to do. But I am going to draw you a card. Do you want to, about your career, do you want a moonology card or do you dare have a tarot card?
pick for me?
I'll give you a Moonology card. Tarot's a bit too in your face sometimes, if you ask me. Let's see what you've got. Oh, interesting. So I'm showing it on Facebook. I don't know if you were watching on Facebook, but you got the new moon card. A new start is coming. So there you go. It's good. It's very, very good.
Moon card?
Pardon?
Did you say it was the new moon card,
It's-
meaning a new start?
Yes, it's the new moon card. A new start. It's on its way. You will soon start to feel more hopeful about getting what you want. Your belief that your dreams can manifest is working well. Forget about the past.
Right. Okay, super.
So there you
Sounds
go.
great to me.
It sounds great to me as well. Great to me as well. So I'm very happy for you. That's a good outcome. Yeah, no, I think you're fine. I think you're fine. All right, shall we leave it there, Pat? Because we've got about 8 other people. I'm going to try and get to as many of the calls as I can.
Thank you so much, Yasmin.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for calling in, Pat. Okie dokie. Right, so you're all calling in now. Yes, very good. It'd be better if people called in throughout the show, because then I could take all the calls throughout instead of doing them all at once. But that's all right. Maybe next week, if I don't get to you, call in next week at the start of the show and I would attempt to take your call. And maybe tell Louis, who answers the phones, I think, I called in last week and I didn't get spoken to, and maybe he can make a little note for me of you calling in again. Let's go to line 5. We have Michelle on the line. Are you there, Michelle?
Yes.
Hello, how are you today?
Hello. I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for taking my call, Jasmine.
Oh, my pleasure. Are you in Kentucky?
I am.
Right. I'm actually watching that show, The Queen's Gambit. Have you heard of that?
No.
Oh, you should watch it. I don't think it's a true story, but it's set a lot in Kentucky about this girl who becomes the world champion at chess, and it's set in Kentucky. So if you, it's just, who knows?
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up here. No, I just checked. It's not based on a real story. It seems very realistic, but it's not. She's fictional, but she does grow up in Kentucky in the show. Anyway, so Michelle, what can I do for you today? Would you like me to tell you a little bit about your chart? Have you had your chart done before?
I have had my chart done before. I'm more interested in a male partner that I'm with currently. He is a Pisces.
Okay.
And he's 11 years older than me.
Oh.
And I'm a widow as of 2 years. Actually, on November 4th, it'll be 2 years since my husband passed. And this man walked into my life around my birthday last year. And we're still together, but I guess I'm having some hesitancy because of the age difference. And just making sure that I'm just viewing him correctly, I guess. And just, I don't want to waste any more time because I'm getting older and he's older, and if he's not the one, I want to move on, but right now I really do like the guy. And
She means
just trying to figure
business.
out if our charts coincide.
Right, okay. So, look, I can't in all integrity do his chart on the radio, without his permission. But you've told me he's Piscean, so that's enough for me to start going with. What date is he, just out of interest?
He's February 25th of 59.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do his chart, but I'm just trying to work out where in the Pisces. Oh, well, now you've told me anyway. Okay, here we go. Feb. Did you say the 25th?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. That's what my son says when he's pretending to be a soldier. Yes, ma'am. When I say something, yes, ma'am. It's so funny, especially because he's English Australian. All right. Okay, I'm looking at your chart. Okay, so you have a good chart together. Oh my God, you've actually got a really good chart together. And also, if it all goes well, look, it's a relationship that, depending on how it's going, if it's going really well, it can be a really healing thing for you. And you're saying it happened after your husband passed away. So this can be a very, very healing relationship for you if you feel it's going really well. And there's probably an element of having a feeling, a certain sense of destiny and having a lot to talk about. It is really jumping out in your chart for me, Michelle, is that you're Leo rising. Therefore, you're about to have Saturn and Jupiter and Saturn going into your love zone for the first time. Well, Saturn for about the first time in 30 years, Jupiter for about the first time in 12 years. And you're going to have the Great Conjunction, which hasn't taken place in your love zone since 1405, so many lifetimes ago. So, I mean, it's kind of going to be slightly make or break for you in the relationship stakes in the coming couple of months. So I think, you know, the rubber's going to meet the road. You're going to find out what's what. If anyone else is listening, they're Leo rising. You know, this is happening. This is true for everybody. So I think you need to decide, you know, can you get over your concerns about the age difference? To me, 11 years is not that much, frankly, especially if it's the male is older, because I think I'm quite used to that in life, people being 11 years older. It might be different if he was 11 years younger. But being 11 years older, I mean, maybe I'm being really old-fashioned there. My son would probably say, "Mummy, you're being so old school." But, you know, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad. You're going to find out in the next 3 months, trust me. You're going to have Jupiter and Saturn in your love zone. It's going to be it's going to be make or break. So you should decide what you want and behave accordingly. That would be my advice to you. And by the way, Saturn moving into your love zone for the first time in 12 years, apart from anything else, one of the things it signifies is actually it can be marriage, can be a commitment, but it can also be someone who's older, a lot older. So, you know, I reckon if you ring me back in 6 months, you'll tell me it's worked out fine and you're engaged or something. Why don't you let me know what happens, Michelle? Do you want a card? Do you want a card on this gentleman?
Yes. You pick. I don't care which card deck.
All right, okay. I'll go for the Moonology cards again. Here we go. Oh, is that the card? I think it is. Oh, okay. So the previous caller got the new moon. You've now got the new moon eclipse. So big things coming. Is he really into you?
I think he's much more into me than I am into him.
Right. Well, that's not always a bad thing, is it? It's better than being the one who's chasing around and, you know. Better if it's equal, but, you know.
I was married for 27 years, so I'm just a little leery of men in general with being a widow and having a lot to offer right now.
Well, the card says, whatever is happening now is happening for your highest good. This is an important turning point in your life.
Okay.
So I think you've got to take that on board, madame.
Sounds good. And I want to thank you so much for your moon diary. I've got it last year and this year, and I've already got the one for next year. I've really loved it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I love writing it. We're just editing the one for next year, for the year after next, 2022, but I kind of almost want to start writing the one for 2023. I'm just sort of like, you know, I just enjoy writing them actually, and I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen.
You're wonderful.
Oh, thanks, Michelle.
On target. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lots of love. I will take another call before we finish, so please hang in there. But I just want to say something actually about next year and about just about the whole coronavirus and the pandemic and all that. And, you know, I've been hoping all year that the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction that's happening this month, November. It's happening in November. I was hoping it was going to be the end of the coronavirus because we had one in April when the whole thing really kicked off. We had one in June when we kind of had we all got time off for, good behaviour. We all, in the Northern Hemisphere at least, we all got a bit of a summer, which was a really welcome break after all the lockdown. And I was really, really hoping that the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction that's coming this month was going to be the end. So we had the April to June, the November, the beginning, the middle and the end. That has been my fervent wish, but I've said all along that there was a fair bit of wishful thinking involved in that because we've been seeing in the news that it hasn't been, going quite as I would have hoped. Now, I'm just going to tell you something. If we don't manage to defeat this scourge in the next, say, 6 to 8 weeks. We actually are looking at more lockdown that rolls on and on and on next year, and maybe even the year after. Because next year we're going to have Saturn moving into Aquarius. Saturn is the sign of lockdown, prison, restrictions, limitations. And Aquarius is the sign of all humanity, you know. And so Saturn actually moved into Aquarius, the sign of humanity, earlier this year. I'm just going to quickly find out when that was for you. Hang on a minute. Let me just quickly look at my charts here. Oh no, hang on, that's not going to work. Hang on. Sorry guys, just give me a second. Saturn, the planet of restrictions, moved into the sign of Aquarius, the sign of all humanity, in March, which is exactly when all humanity went into lockdown, you know, or most of us, pretty much the whole planet. And I remember saying at the time, oh gosh, talk about a textbook description of Saturn, the planet of prisons and limitations and lockdown, in humanity's sign of Aquarius. What I've been worried about all year is that Saturn's moving back into Aquarius in December. And so what that means is either we get out of this pandemic thing, or we're probably going to go back into more lockdown. And I will just say that my husband, who's the most wonderful man, but he's very pragmatic and very realistic, and he was saying, you know, the Spanish flu, they were in lockdown, had the Spanish flu swirling around for 3 Christmases. It started in 1917 at the end of the year. So they had they had Christmas and 1918, then they had 1919, and then they were out of it after that 3rd Christmas. So I'm hoping that's not what we're going to have, but I'm just saying, you know, in order to defend the integrity of astrology, even though I have been desperately hoping that the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction this month will mark the end of it, given that, for example, I'm in London, England, and we've all just been put back into lockdown for a month, and we're being told it might stretch out and out, and Saturn moving back into Aquarius, humanity in lockdown. And also next year, Saturn clashing with the planet of mavericks and rebellion, and the planet that doesn't want to be tied down or trapped, Uranus. So we're going to get Saturn-Uranus squares next year. I'm very concerned that we're actually going to have more lockdown next year and people going crazy all year about, oh, I'm not going to be locked down. I mean, I might be one of those people because I'm not really enjoying going back into lockdown either. Just wanted to mention that for the integrity of astrology. We're not out of the woods yet. I don't know what we can do to get out of the woods, but we're not out of the woods yet. Okay, let me see if I can fit one more very, very quick call in. Let us go to line 8, Shanice. Are you there, Shanice? Hello, Shanice. Hello, Shanice? No, Shanice. Okay. No, Shanice. Hello, Shanice? She's there. I can see she's there. Shanice done. Okay, Shanice, I can't take your call. I've barely got any time left. So what I'm going to... Oh, there you are. Shanice, how are you?
Yes, I'm here. How are you, Yasmin?
I'm great. Listen, I've only got about another minute. Quickly, give me your question. I'm going to give you a card.
I just want to know if I'm on the right path with my life. After losing my parents and everything and being a single mom, I just want to know I'm on the right path.
Okay. You've got a lovely card, the full moon in Cancer. A personal issue reaches resolution. Okay, I'm just going to read to you from the card. Full moon in Cancer. Meditate to soothe your heightened emotions, Shanice, okay? Don't be clingy. Don't be clingy. Don't be sulky. And it's the time to deal with family issues. It's nothing to worry about. It signifies a family challenge is coming to an end, okay? So, yes, you're on the right path. Don't be clingy. Don't be sulky. Meditate. And the answer to your question lies in being a kind leader. This is the time for you to step up and agree to overcome your insecurities. How's that? Does that make any sense?
Yep, it makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, Shanice. Thanks for calling in. That's it, guys. See you back next week when we may or may not know who won the election, depending on how Mercury retrograde goes. Thank you, Louie. Thank you, Louie. Thank you, Louie. Hello? Hello. Thank you, Louie.
Oh, I'm sorry. You couldn't hear me for a second.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Good show. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Louie. Have a great week. Bye.
All right. Bye.
All right, so now I'm going to do a card for everybody who's watching. If you stuck around through all of that, here's a card. All right. Now, if you're in Australia, by the way, and you want your question answered, I'm about to do some New Idea questions for New Idea magazine. Go to newideaquestions.com. No AU, just newideaquestions.com. You can go and leave me a question, but you have to be from Australia. Here's a card for everybody. Oh, it's a nice one. A time to give rather than take. So whatever you're asking about, think less about what someone can do for you and more about what you can do for someone else. There you go. All right, well, on that note, I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to go and look at the comments now on Facebook because they're not coming up on my phone for whatever reason. I can just see, it tells me who's watching, but it doesn't show me any comments. Lots and lots of love.